And what bothers me about this Chinese takeover of Jamaican industry is the fact that when you go to China, African people are treated like dogs. Let's be honest, brothers and sisters. Chinese do not like black people. Indians do not like black people. Let's stop lying. White people do not like black people. There's nothing multicultural and colorblind in Jamaica, but your elected officials would have you believe that because it's that much easier to brainwash you and to let them steal everything from you and give it to non-African immigrants if they can seduce you into thinking that we are all one colorblind human family. That is absolutely nonsense. And black women, you need to be careful if you get a job offer from East Africa or the Middle East, because what I'm reading about is a lot of sisters are going over to Dubai. And they are going over there for jobs only to find out that the job was a trick to get you into the Middle Eastern slave trade, the modern African slave trade. Brothers and sisters, when we talk about Pan-Africanism, we have to keep in mind that as Pan-Africanists, we don't just look to Africa. We also look to solve the problems where we are. Some people have this false notion that Pan-Africanists are only about running back to Africa and repatriating to Africa. That is not true. You can run and chew gum at the same time. You can take care of the issues of Jamaica at the same time you take care of the issues of the mother continent. You have to do both. You cannot escape Jamaica and run to Africa, and you cannot escape Africa by saying, I'm only going to worry about Jamaica. You have to worry about both simultaneously. And why are we so concerned about Africa as Pan-Africanists who do not live on the continent? Because as the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey said, a strong man is strong everywhere, and a weak man is weak everywhere. As someone who has traveled the entire planet, I've spoken on every continent by invitation. And you know what I always find, no matter where I go, Chinese people are in a position of respect. European Jews are in a position of respect. East Indians are in a position of respect. And wherever I go, even in the Caribbean, even in Africa, even in a black community in the United States, black people are ignored, disrespected, and taken for granted. The international stature of Africa reflects on each and every one of us. So if we want to be a stronger people and a better people, we have to make Africa a stronger continent and a better continent. Chinese get respect because China get respect. Jews get respect because Israel gets respect. India gets respect because Indians get respect. The Anglo-Saxons get respect because the United Kingdom get respect, and African people all over the world are disrespected no matter where we live because Africa is disrespected. So we have to fight locally and globally at the same time. One of the things that hurts my heart about Jamaica in particular is not only the incursion of the Chinese. It is a very big issue though. I'm seeing how your elected officials are making it so easy for the Chinese to acquire so much land, to dominate so many industries, to even sell the port of Jamaica to the Chinese. I mean, what are we thinking about? Do you really think the Chinese are coming to Jamaica because they love black people? The Chinese technique is very obvious, brothers and sisters. What they want to do is be responsible for constructing so much of Jamaica's new infrastructure that the government becomes totally dependent on China to the point where they can't even pay off the loans. And once you default on the loans to China, based on the agreements of your elected officials, the Chinese are now going to be given certain industries exclusive control over certain natural resources and exclusive control over certain areas of your island. They're already doing it in Africa. We had one of the East African countries just defaulted on the loan to China, and they had to give them their airport. Another African country defaulted on the loan to China, and they had to give them their port. Another African country defaulted on the loan to China, and now the Chinese own one of their entire natural resource industries. You have to be careful, Jamaica, because land, okay, has its limit. There's only so much land in Jamaica. There's only so much. Once you give the Chinese too much, you're at a point of no return. And what bothers me about this Chinese takeover of Jamaican industry is the fact that when you go to China, African people are treated like dogs. When you go to China, African people are treated like less than human beings. In China, they are so insensitive to African people that when you show up to China and you go through customs with your passport, and your passport says you're only supposed to be in China for 5 or 6 days, guess what they do? They send the police out to find you and bring you to the airport and make sure they send you back home. Think about what happened in COVID, where all those continental Africans were ordered out of China immediately. They weren't given any tests. Nobody proved they had COVID, but the Chinese simply said, you're black, you're African, We don't want you here. We think you're full of disease and you got to get out. These are black women with infant children that were on the street in China. But yet when China come to the Caribbean islands or come to Africa, we want to roll out the red carpet for them. We have to stop doing that. We have to stop doing that. Black people better be careful. Because if our elected officials in Africa and the Caribbean keeps on selling out our industries and our land to non-African people who do not like us, let's be honest, brothers and sisters, Chinese do not like black people, Indians do not like black people. Let's stop lying. White people do not like black people. There's nothing multicultural and colorblind in Jamaica, just like there's nothing multicultural or colorblind in the United States. But your elected officials would have you believe that because it's that much easier to brainwash you and to let them steal everything from you and give it to non-African immigrants if they can seduce you into thinking that we are all one colorblind human family. That is absolutely nonsense, okay? The Chinese are interested in expanding the Chinese empire. The Indians are interested in expanding the Indian empire. European Jews are here to expand the European Jewish empire. Nobody wants to share power with African people. And the three biggest reasons why nobody's interested in sharing power with African people is, number one, they are jealous of our genetic reproductivity superiority. We are the only people in the world who can reproduce ourselves in any other group. Every man in this room can reproduce himself in any woman. It don't matter if it's a white woman, it doesn't matter if it's a brown woman, a yellow woman, a red woman. That child is an African child. The same thing holds for our women. If the white man wants to reproduce himself, he can only reproduce himself in a white woman. The white man cannot reproduce himself in any other woman but one of his own race. So he is at a decided genetic disadvantage when it comes to reproductivity. According to the United Nations, the population of white people across the world is shrinking. In America, we have 25 or 50 states that have a declining white population rate. I'm going to say that again. In 25 or 50 American states, more white people are than being born. Across the world, white people who are already a numerical minority are expected to have their numbers drop even more, brothers and sisters. Their numbers are expected to drop even more. One of the reasons why we have so many black women being kidnapped in the United States and in the United Kingdom, and there's also in the Caribbean as well. Have y'all had young ladies snatched off the street here? Never be heard from again. 3 reasons why they black girls. And by the way, if you have a daughter between the age of 11 and 17, you had better know where she is at all times. The 11 to 17-year-old black girl is the one that is most treasured by the international European cartel. And the reason they our children, number one, black women are the only women with the mitochondrial DNA, the Eve gene of the original woman. The white man wants to isolate the Eve gene of the original woman that only the black woman has, okay? The Chinese woman don't have mitochondrial DNA. The Latino don't have mitochondrial DNA. The Jew don't have mitochondrial DNA. The East Indian don't have mitochondrial DNA. The only woman on the face of the earth with mitochondrial DNA is the black woman. And the white man wants to isolate your mitochondrial DNA, black sisters, so he can somehow surgically implant it into the white woman to help their species survive. So there's not enough black women to be in order for them to perfect this operational technique. That's the number one reason why they black girls. The second reason they black girls is because of the global international clandestine trafficking operation. They can't get enough of black girls into the trafficking operation. And black women, you need to be careful if you get a job offer from East Africa or the Middle East. Because what I'm reading about is a lot of sisters are going over to Dubai and United Arab Emirates and Kuwait. And they're going to East African nations, Somali and Sudan. And they are going over there for jobs only to find out that the job was a trick to get you into the Middle Eastern slave trade, the modern African slave trade. Because they're still trading slaves right now, African people in East Africa and in the Middle East. So black women, beware. So that's number 2. And the third reason they black girls and black boys is for the international trafficking cartel. You have to be careful. What is the one thing you need to live that you cannot buy at Walmart? And you need a heart, but you can't buy a heart from the supermarket. You need a liver, but you can't buy a liver from the supermarket. You need a kidney, but you can't buy a kidney from the supermarket. You need a spleen, but you can't buy a spleen from the supermarket. So how do I get something that I need to live that I cannot buy? I have to orchestrate. And a lot of these black on black crimes you're reading about in Chicago, in New York City, in Philadelphia, and even here in the Caribbean, I suspect a lot of these so-called senseless black on black crimes are not senseless black on black crimes. These are orchestrated. Do you really believe all these young black men and women are being and they're going into the grave with all their? Are you out of your mind? Don't you know one of the biggest underground markets in the world that funeral homes are involved in is the illicit underground trafficking trade? And you had better be careful about saying you want to be a donor on your driver's license. Think twice about that. If you want to donate, put it in your will, but don't say you want to be a donor on your license, because that makes you an easy. They can take your life and get those whatever white person needs them in another part of the world. Be careful.
Jewish word.
Let me say
it
this.
is a Jewish word.
Okay, I heard all that.
Jewish word.
Let me ask this.
It first referred to the poor white Jews who once dominated in America's cities, but were given white privilege, white affirmative action
hold on.
in the form of low-interest loans by the Federal Housing Association.
Doctor, hold on. Let me ask this.
Don't mislead your listeners.
I know, but stay with me.
Don't mislead your listeners.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask. So let's say that social engineering did happen, or is happening, or did happen.
Is happening.
Once they put black people in those areas, what prevent black people from keeping those areas clean?